This is an episode where I'm gonna try to go straight to the point. We'll make it as quick as I can. I'll make it as quick as I can. I possibly can. In today's topic, I want to talk about how I have developed reading, or how I have developed my habit of reading books. And first of all, I want to say that I do not claim to be an expert at anything. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychologist, but I would like to think of myself as someone that wants or desires to find a way to simplify my rules of happiness, or her rules of happiness. And I try as much as I can to find ways to grow, in most aspects of my life, especially intellectual, emotional, lalo na yun, very importante sa akin yun. And yung reason why I'm putting it out, the reason why I want to talk about it right now is because I know of at least 3 to 5 friends whose part of their goals is learning how to read books, or making it a habit to read books regularly. Meron pa nga akong friend na nadinig ko, sabi niya, I want to be able to read at least one book every month. Um, I am I'm happy to say, no, I'm happy to say na, like right now, siguro after 6 years, 5 to 6 years, after 5 to 6 years, it's not anymore a goal that I would put in my vision board, or like my planner, na would take a lot of effort from me. So when I say that, what I'm trying to say is effortless na siya. If I say I'm gonna read books, it's not like I have to put in a lot of energy, and it doesn't really necessarily like pressure me anymore when I have to set that as a goal. So parang it's quite natural for me to really want to read books versus 5 to 6 years ago, na when I say I'm gonna read one book, so far, alam mo yun, nababasa ko siya, or no-open ko siya, like a month or two after I said I'm gonna read it. And I'm happy to be sharing, really just be sharing, not steps, but really just the concepts that I think have helped me out, as I start reading books. And I want to begin with yung idea na a lot of times, really, the energy that you're willing to put in a certain, in a certain goal, is very dependent on the level of your the level of your desperation. um I don't know if that's shocking. I don't know if that's shocking to you guys, but one of the reasons why I learned how to read books is because I was at my rock bottom at the time. My life was falling apart. Medyo OA yun. Medyo OA yun. At 25, syempre, I was young, I didn't know better. Konting problema, iiyak ka, and you feel like, your life is you're at your rock bottom. But at least that's what I was feeling when I was younger. I was 25 when I thought that my life was falling apart. I didn't have a regular job. I keep hopping from one job to another. I didn't have I couldn't afford an apartment at the time. I had to be separated with my son at the time, which is extremely painful. I would cry myself to sleep every night, and I didn't have a lot of money. As a matter of fact, I don't remember. Medyo nabulol ako dun, pero I don't remember having money at the time. So, if you guys can imagine that, life was falling apart. I was broken. I was broke and brokenhearted at the time. My ex left me for someone else, but that's a different story. Pero I guess why I'm trying to say, why I'm sharing that is because I want for you guys to imagine my situation at the time. So I was at my rock bottom, and I think nung mga panahon na yon, my level of desperation is like to the highest heaven. To the highest heaven, or lagpas na sa akin. Well, 4'9" lang ako. Pero, lagpas sa akin, lagpas sa level na kaya kong intindihin at the time, yung desperation ko. And it's possibly the reason why it became a non-negotiable for me that I learn how to read books, because I know that the only way that I will shift my mindset is when I help myself grow. And one of the ways to grow yourself, to really learn things, to feed your curiosity about things in life and to strive, is really studying. And in studying, you have to read. So I don't kailangan kasi malalim yung why mo eh. Yun yung lagi kong sinasabi. If you're ever gonna read books, right? O kung ilalagay mo man na part of your, part of your goals will be like reading books, I think the best way to go by it is to understand why you want to do it. Kasi this analogy, I like using this. In every coaching session that I get, or in every coaching session that I do with my trainees when I was still a trainer, I say things like, tawag dito, your goal, so think of it as a tree. Kailangan, well, yung tree, kapag malalim yung ugat, which is the why part, pag malalim yung ugat, mahirap bunutin. Right? Pero pag mababaw, madaling bunutin. What am I trying to say? What am I trying to say when I say that? Um, if let's say your reason for reading books is not deep enough, any problem, any simple, I don't know, maybe conflict with your schedule, uh, hormonal imbalance, and it does happen to us girls when we don't when you don't feel like doing it, you just don't do it. Yung mga factors na yon are gonna be your stopper. So you can be solid, you can be clear about wanting to read a book. I think the good start, or the best start, is number one, measuring your level of desperation. Meaning, are you honestly, like, be honest with yourself, be authentic with yourself, be reasonable, and ask yourself, am I really wanting to read books? Why do I want to read books? What are my desperations? Why I would want to read books? What are my desperations that would lead me to actually read books? Yun yung first. And then, I'm a strong believer, as a trainer, um, I'm a strong believer na you cannot be teaching, especially adults, right? You cannot be teaching someone something and not be able to put them in an environment where they can apply it. So I'm very big when it comes to environment. And I've recently, well, I haven't really finished the book, but I've recently been reading Atomic Habits, in which, excuse me, in which part of the factor, or um, part of creating the habit is creating the right system. So, as well, essentially, right now what I'm learning from that book is, it's not that you don't have the right goals, it's that you have the wrong system. So what I'm learning from creating that system is the environment, for the most part, is going to define um, your system. I remember learning how to really read books. Sorry, learning how to really read books when I started making my books like easy to access for me. I remember nung nakatira pa ako sa bed space, I wouldn't keep it in my maleta at the time. I wouldn't even keep it in my cabinet at the time. But what I do is I keep it like right next to my pillow. Kailangan na sa pillow ko siya para pag obvious, pag nakikita ko agad, um, I'm able to access it very easily. And you have to, if you want to create a habit of reading, um, put your books everywhere. Like, yung madali mo siyang makikita para makasanayan mo yung pagdampot ng libro. It's really it's really, I guess you're not really wanting to pressure yourself on reading the books, but lovingly helping yourself, motivating yourself to learn how to read books. Kasi feeling ko yung benefits, you guys already know what the benefits are. I'm assuming that most of you guys already know the benefits of reading books. Um, but it's just that it's not very easy to do at this point. Kasi nga, you haven't really developed the habit. Um, so yun, number one is creating your why. Number two, idea, is creating an environment for yourself where it will be easy to read. Um, Another for me is, well, this is something that I have learned from Mark Manson, and I tried and applied it, and it's really working for me. Um, for some people that I know, hindi nag-work sa kanila, but I don't know about you guys, pero it works for me that I don't read one book at a time. It works for me that I read at least 5 books at a time. Kasi, hindi ko alam if it's because of my attention span, really, but um, when I don't feel like reading a book, para siyang ano eh. Okay, I think I have to begin with, we have this notion that reading is actually a torture, and for the most part, it came from our experience when we were still studying. Na parang, ang dami-dami mo kailangan basahin, blah, blah. So that experience, or that, at least the emotion around that experience, nag-stick around. So, marami sa atin yung, you try to read a book, tapos, the next thing you know, nakatulog ka na. Kasi nga, it's boring, right? So, I learned from Mark Manson na, if you wanna build the habit of reading, don't start with books that actually bores you. Go buy the books, or go read books that are very interesting, that you find really really interesting. Kasi kapag interested ka in something like a certain topic, it makes it fun. You create that positive emotion towards reading, and that's what you want to get. That, creating that positive emotion, and you want to associate that positive emotion to reading. Yun yung tinatry mong gawin. And then another is, I've learned sa kanya, or Mark Manson, I've learned from Mark Manson yung concept na you allow yourself to be reading for 10 minutes, and as soon as 10 minutes is over and you don't feel like wanting to, go further, that's okay. You can either switch to another book, or, rest for a moment. Pero kapag lagpas na ng 10 minutes and feeling mo torture na siya sa'yo, don't torture yourself anymore. Don't torture yourself even more. It's okay. And that is the reason why I wouldn't read one book at a time. I have like plenty of books. I read plenty of books at a time. Kasi parang kapag nabore na ako dun sa isang book, what I do is I switch to another one. And most of the time, tumatama yung instinct ko. Kunwari, so I have a book about money. I have a book about personal development. I have a book about psychology. I have a book about leadership, right? And very many times, tumatama yung instinct ko. Kunwari, I try to read the personal management, tapos hindi nag-resonate sa akin right on that day. Again, I move on. I try to move on, and then what I do next is I pick up another book, let's say, about leadership. Tapos bigla na lang, alam mo yun, makukuha niya yung interest ko. So, that's probably the reason why I wouldn't read one book at a time. Kasi madali din talaga akong mabore. And lastly, don't, I think, marami kasi sa atin yung tawag dito, marami sa atin yung nagsaset ng goal, only because we think that we're gonna be better person. We're gonna be better version of ourselves if we do that goal. I don't know if you guys have heard of the backward law, but the backwards law is essentially saying that the more that you want something, the more that you create that resistance, and the more that you shy away from that thing. And I'd say that the more desperate you are to read books, kapag qualitative na siya, the more that you're desperate about reading books, um, it becomes a little difficult for you na. So, I guess really try not coming from a place of lack. Remember that no matter what happens, like whether you read the book or not, you're already someone of value, right? And not failing to not read a book or one book a month doesn't make you less of a person. Masaya lang talaga siya. Masaya lang talaga. You create a different world for yourself. You create a different version of yourself that you never think would come out kapag natutunan mo magbasa ng libro. Yeah, I think I have. Yun lang naman. That's all that I want to share. I was hoping I could make it like an 8 minute video again or 8 minute podcast or episode again. But obviously I failed. This is like almost 16 minutes, but I had so much fun sharing that with you guys, and I hope that you learned. You learned from my experience. Um, Happy reading. Thank you guys for listening. Bye.